Okay.
Welcome.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome. Mary Jane and I are really happy that you're here today, and transitioning over to Zoom from LinkedIn Audio. We appreciate your presence. I'm Jan Jeremias, one of your hosts today. I'm an integrative health and wellness coach and author who works with people and pets to help them overcome health challenges and live healthier lives. And I'm really excited, as always, to be joined on stage with my co-host, collaborator, and dear friend, the amazing and very kind, um, as I always say, with capital letters, kind, Mary Jane McQueen. And so, Mary Jane, maybe tell everyone a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move into the conversation.
Yeah, good morning and or good afternoon. I guess it depends on where you're located because I know Matthew for sure is definitely in the afternoon time. So I'm Mary Jane or MJ, and I have my own creative studio where I help entrepreneurs step into their light and share their gifts authentically. So really through the workshops that I do with Jan, mentoring and branding. I help guide clients into overcoming their self-doubt, finding their voice, and creating visuals that align with their mission. And as always, I'm excited to join Jan in this, well, not this space because this is a new space, I guess, but in the space and with all of you that joined today as we endeavor and navigate in a new era of our, I was going to say LinkedIn audio, but I guess it's not LinkedIn audio anymore. In our audios.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Mary Jane, did we want to begin with that poem that you that we decided on?
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's just really seemed to speak to what we were going to be talking about today, the power of words. And it says you never can tell. That's what it's called, and it's by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. It says, you never can tell when you send a word, like an arrow shot from a bow, by an archer blind, be it cruel or kind, just where it may chance to go. It may pierce the breast of your dearest friend, tipped with its poison or balm. To a stranger's heart in life's great mart, it may carry its pain or its calm. You never can tell when you do an act just what the result will be. But with every deed, you are sowing a seed, though the harvest you may not see. Each kindly act is an acorn dropped in God's productive soil. You may not know, but the tree shall grow with shelter for those who toil. You never can tell what your thoughts will do in bringing you hate or love, for thoughts are things, and their airy wings are swifter than carrier doves. They follow the law of the universe. Each thing must create its kind, and they speed o'er the track to bring you back whatever went out from your mind. Hmm.
Yeah, just sitting with that for a moment.
Yes.
Uh, Really powerful sharing of words. And yeah, beautiful, isn't it? Al, it's just this real kind of, to me, like almost summary of the power of words. Welcome, Divine. Good morning, my sister. Um, so welcome everyone. So today we wanted to have a conversation about the power of words. And I think we've all heard the expression or the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yet let's be honest, that's not true, entirely true.
Mhm.
Words have a unique energy that goes beyond their surface meaning. Words can heal or harm, empower or diminish, inspire or discourage. They carry a vibration that we sense, whether we're thinking them, speaking them, hearing them, or reading them. They shape our emotions, our actions, and even the way we view ourselves and others. wonderful coach, Sharon N. Klinger, said every word carries an energy that can be sensed, regardless of whether you're thinking it, speaking it, hearing it, or reading it on a page. A lot of elements impact a word's energy. And this is why the words we choose, both the ones we share with others and the ones we speak to ourselves, are so important. So pause for a moment now and just ask yourself, am I talking to myself in a way that feels kind and uplifting? Are the words I'm using inviting in the energy I want to experience? When we're intentional about our words, we create space for clarity, connection, and positive transformation. Yeah, let's explore this together, diving into the power of words and how they can shine light into our lives as we step into the new year. So, today we would like to explore the profound impact of language and the impact language has on shaping reality, both positively and negatively. Words are more than symbols or sounds that carry energy capable of transformation, influencing the speaker, the listener, and the world around us. And I just loved this as I read an article yesterday. They said language has duality. We just talked about that. Words have the ability to, to heal or wound someone, to empower or destroy. And this is encapsulated in the idea that adding an S to words, the word words, creates the word swords. And I thought that was so profound. Like it was like so striking to me how the tone, the words you use can really make or break something. It can make or break a relationship. And then also, Mary Jane and I always refer to ourselves as nerd word, like nerd word people. We love words, and how even the same word can have a totally different meaning for two different people, depending on your culture, your background, your history. It just seems that you can use a word, like I've heard words that totally kind of don't resonate with me at all and kind of even give me like a very negative feeling within me. And then there are certain words which may be silly or just out there, that are just like cause you to giggle or smile or just evoke such a positive feeling within you. And so much of language or words, comes with so much sort of inner, like, with the history of the person. And so maybe we'll have a conversation about that. And then part of the reason we chose words was because every year at this time, the new year, I always choose a word or two words for my year that kind of influences. I always don't say that I necessarily think about it every day or think about it all the time, but it always is kind of there in the background. And it's amazing to me that when I've done that in the past, how much that word tends to, like, those words tend to impact my life in that given year. So that was part of the reason we chose this topic, was because this idea of encouraging you to possibly choose a word for the year or words for the year. And to sort of, even if you don't share them, write them down somewhere and just take notice of what unfolds for the coming year. So, Mary Jane?
Yeah, it's so true. But the the double meaning, obviously we have, well, the English language especially has so many nuances to words that can be an opposite spectrum. I mean, I remember in my corporate career, just the power of words. I always used to hear the executives talking about executing their goals and their plans, and I'm like, executing is does not seem like a positive energy to me. It just seemed very like, yeah, I understand the purpose of it, but it's just like execute it. So I guess in this day and age, when we hear that, it means something quite different and not necessarily in the most positive light. So, but yeah, it's yes, and as Jan was sharing, yes, we are word nerds, and so I always love understanding the root of of the words that come through, because it's just interesting because there's usually a historical significance to why the words were formed in the way they were. And as Jan was just sharing, yeah, the last couple of years that I have also I like Al's comment.
I know. I love that. Thank you, Al.
Linda, I love it. That's a cool word. Yes, well, words were created at some point by by things they were brought into existence, right? So, but yeah, I've the last couple of years I've also chosen a word. I mean, 2 years ago, my it sounds funny to say it that way. 2 years ago, my word was kindness. But that's always been part of who I am, the root of who I am anyway. But it was just really like leaning into that and understanding that that was my one of my superpowers. So, and then this past year was belief. So it's a little bit tied into the kindness, just leaning in even more um, to the belief that that is going to be what changes the world is kindness. So, and leaning into that even more. So, yeah, and it's interesting because I've been sort of doing that debate with myself. Like, sort of like waiting for like inspiration and intuition, because that's how the other two words came to me. I was like, oh, interesting. I haven't chosen my words for the year yet. So, hopefully, this will spark some inspiration today for me as well. I think Jan is already, because she's like, eager. So she's already got hers, I think.
It's not necessarily that I was eager. It was just that it came to me. I was in conversation actually with Taryn, who's joined us, Mary Jane and I, for a workshop, and then also for one of our workshops, and also for these audio events. And we were having a conversation, and I pulled one of the cards that Mary Jane and I sometimes that she got me hooked on, basically. That
It sounds so.
yeah, yeah. So I chose a card and I was like, oh my gosh, that's my word. And I love what you said, because you said what kind of like just comes to you. And that's what I always encourage people. It's not something that I necessarily like, I don't think about it. Sometimes I do, but I find that it's forced and then the words don't come. It's kind of like I think of a word and then I'm like, no, that's not it. It just doesn't feel right. And the words kind of just pop in and could be odd words. Like I think I've been talking about this in a few of the meetings that 2 years, 3 years ago, I think it is now, 3 or 3.5 years ago. I chose the word fly. It just seemed like an odd word, like fly. I'm like, I have no idea why, but I'm just supposed this is my word. And I ended up getting so first of all, they're always confirmed. So I ended up getting like two gifts that year with quotes on them that said, all you need to do is fly. And I was like, okay, I get it. That's my word. I'm supposed to have that word. But that was the year I moved. And I had no plans on moving at all. Like I lived in the same house for 30 years. So it wasn't like I was like thinking to myself, didn't go into the year thinking this year I'm going to move, like a lot of other things that I might do in the beginning of the year. And, and then it just happened. It just unfolded that way. And so it's interesting. I mean, my words last year were inspired action, and prior to the word inspire came because my father had passed, and I wanted to keep him in my presence, and so that feeling that he was watching over me and inspiring me. And then I contributed to a book, and I didn't write about his like my loss of him or him passing, even though I haven't really lost him. Um, it was more about loss in general, but it's just so interesting that contributed to a book on grief. And so I thought, Daddy, you're still there, like you're still so present in this kind of in the work. So it was just so interesting because it wasn't something I planned either. But one of the things you said, Mary Jane, was really striking to me. And that was that whole idea of the word, um, um, thank you for that, Al. I love that. Fly like an eagle. Um, was that word execute. And I was thinking of like that whole idea of like where we come from and what words kind of resonate with us and what words don't. And I've used this example. I went to a conference and they were talking about sales and like doing a good job with the people, your clients or your customers. And And the woman kept on saying, I just love on my clients. And I thought to myself, now she was from the South, so it was kind of in the United States, so it was kind of appropriate. But that's not an expression somebody from like up north would ever use. Like if you're from New England, Connecticut, Massachusetts, further north, or from New York, you don't talk, you know, like that's not how we speak. And we all looked at each other because we were all together, like all my friends were all from the same area. And we all looked at each other going, oh my gosh. Like we could literally, we were like, oh my gosh, that phrase just wanted us made us want to run out of the room, kind of thing, out of the out of the conference, because it just so almost like countered, like it gave us like this very ill feeling. And she must have said it like a dozen times. Now, first of all, I didn't hear a word the woman had to say because I spent the whole time thinking to myself, I hate that word or hate that phrase. I had a recording and then went back and listened afterwards. And she did have some valuable information once I was prepared for the fact that she was going to use those words. But it was just so interesting to me that, you know, and I think that was one of the most clear sort of demonstrations to me of how words can influence the way we feel and how a phrase that someone can use can turn us on or turn us off automatically. And sometimes we have no clue about that. Like we don't really know, you know, you don't know someone and you just happen to use a phrase. So we would love for you to join in the conversation. So feel free to raise your hand. Oh, Mary Jane, of course, she just typed it. Oh,
Yes,
you are.
well, that might be kind of useful if I actually put something in there, you know.
Yes, yes. Yeah, no, but I was just laughing because you typed it. I said it.
Yes, of course we did.
So we talk about words. Mary Jane and I often share words or without saying anything. But if anybody does want to share, we would love to hear from you and your, you know, and your feeling or your experience with various words and um, delivering certain phrases. And I think there is, you know, being kind in words. And I loved when we opened this idea um, that, you know, words carry an energy. And so much of it is dependent on the energy you bring in when you say them and they, you know, come out of your mouth. Obviously, that there's a way to say something and choosing your words is, you know, is an important part of that. And I'm sure, like, I mean, I know Divine has children, and I think that, you know, when you have kids, it's like, you know, there's a way to say certain things, you know, so they understand and you're kind versus that very reprimanding, negative kind of tone.
I love that, Jen. And I just if it's okay with you, I'd like to share. I pulled a card when people entered the room today, and it's funny that you talked about energy as part of words because of course they do have energy, as we all are. But it's interesting. So the card I pulled for us today is your mind is an altar to source energy. So there you go. Energy was pulled in. And it says, your mind is a powerful space. It's like a temple or sacred space with an altar that is directly connected to the universe. Throughout your human life, you will face challenges, fear, and uncertainty. These experiences can contribute to thinking that you are facing things alone. But all of these thoughts can be placed on that altar, that connection to source energy, and you can invite the universe back in to support you. If you are finding a certain situation particularly challenging at the moment, Jan, this might be speaking to me, lay it on the altar. Add all your worries and concerns. When you place these thoughts on the altar, you open to a higher power that is able to inspire you and bring healing change. Today, the universe is encouraging you to know that you are not alone in the temple of your mind. And the vibe of the day is I welcome support from the universe with the thoughts that cause me concern. Well,
I love that. It speaks to so much of, I think what we all go through, because we all have, challenges, I think.
Mm.
And, maybe at some points, maybe they're huge, but, other times they're not. But I think that, just realizing that sometimes we need to step back and kind of offer up. And, I've always found that when I've let go of sort of like that control, and I kind of like, sort of at the point of like, okay, I've got to breathe and let it go, or just create space for a moment. Usually the answer comes or something happens, something shifts, because it's the ruminating of my thoughts, which are words,
Hmm.
usually with that self-talk that can
Yes.
tend to prevent that from happening. It's like there's no room for any information or any insight because my brain is too full with the dialogue in my head. And yeah, and that's why I always feel like sometimes, like the clutter that's in my mind, that
Mhm.
self-talk. And that's why if things aren't moving in my life, that's one of the reasons I clean things out. Because to me, it's like that unburdening, that cleansing out of my physical space also tends to translate into my mental space.
Yes.
So Matthew has hand raised. Yeah, Matthew, please join the conversation.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
I was thinking a good word could be opportunity
Mm,
to just keep your mind open to different opportunities. It's not exactly like, that thing about saying yes to everything. It's
Mhm.
just, always keeping your mind open so that when an opportunity is right there in front of you, that you don't miss it.
That's a very valid point, Matthew, for sure. Opportunity is a good word.
it is a good word.
Well, we've had the opportunity to experiment with this platform today. The opportunity arose to do that, since other platforms decided audio wasn't the way to go. So
Yes.
it's okay. I don't mind the space. I think we have other options. So we're open to the opportunity of having other options available to us. So I like that, Matthew. That's very key. I'm writing down words. Opportunity. So that was an inspiration for today.
Hmm.
So beauty. So Jen, did you have you set your words for 2025?
I I have I have chosen my words for the year. Um yeah, my words for this year are shine bright.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
love
I,
it.
I'm And it was interesting because my friend who I was just talking to you about, my friend Carrie asked me what my
Hmm.
words for the year were in a text the other day. And she said, but you always do. And I said, yes, but the key is me recognizing that too
Yes.
and owning it. So that's the sort of like the jump up on the level. That's an opportunity, right?
That's the
Is
opportunity.
the opportunity. And I was just looking up, I wanted to see what the word origin of the word opportunity was. And, it's always really interesting. Like if they always break it up into like all of its, all the words that are in there that are kind of in that kind of word. So yeah, it talks about it containing the word port, like in like docking, like, harbor,
Mm.
um, a mountain pass, a passage, a gate, and a door, which is interesting when you think about the meaning of the word January that you sent me, Mary Jane,
Yes.
which maybe we can share with everybody. And then also um, says, contains the word toward, against, before, near, across, down,
It's
in the direction of, in front of.
mm.
Mm. Word nerd in the house.
Yeah.
I
I,
know.
I couldn't I couldn't help it. The
Yes, I
chat is
know.
very inviting. Um,
It
yeah.
is.
Well, yeah, and it's true because I was just like we were saying about a passage because it's like it's interesting because like I mean when we're talking about like in like if we're reading something and we say oh there's a passage in the in the book that mentions this so it's interesting that that because I yeah, it's like, oh, I wonder. I always wonder, it's like, why is the word passage used there? Like, why don't not just say in the book it says, but that's not how wording has developed, right? So it's interesting. It's interesting.
That is interesting that you said that. Um, that we say that, like a biblical passage or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I realize it's an older term for things that are just like it's interesting. It's like, oh, a passage. Hmm. Well, I guess it's an opportunity to learn,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
That's that's how I'm going to look at it, anyways.
Well, if you look back to our quote that we said in the beginning, or what we were sharing about words from your poem, is that the idea that words leave trails or paths behind us after they've been spoken, because their impact remains negative and positive.
Mm-hmm.
So, they are, you know, pathways or passages really that are left. And then the words we choose in our tone has people have the choice to follow or to not follow
Mm-hmm.
what we say, or, do we have influence, not in a bad way, or do we have an impact, maybe is a better word.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good word too, impact.
Yes.
I'm thinking of all these words. I know they're not my words. I chose my word, my words.
Well, it's okay. I'm hoping that it's going to bring me inspiration so that the word is going to come to me. My word for the year is going to come to me. It's
Yeah, but it's really interesting to me. Um, this whole idea of words, and this whole idea of using words that really that speak to people. Because I think there are certain words which definitely do have a positive or negative, because Divine just put in frustration. Her word right now is frustration.
yep. We've all been there, that's for sure, Divine. Maybe
Yeah,
not for the situation, but the frustration part, definitely.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
And I think that it just, that's what happens. Frustration. I remember one year, I think my word was patience.
Yes. That's a big one, Jan. I don't know, patience.
Yeah, I know it
Some days
was
I'm really patient, other days not so much.
absolutely. And can we be patient with ourselves?
Well, that's the person I'm most impatient with is
Mhm,
myself,
mhm.
for sure. But yeah,
I,
yeah, for sure.
I think one of my experiences with patience, and it might have been the year I was actually injured, is that whole idea of patience and the body healing, which for me was really huge. It was, because I because I teach and I had to use my body, I use my body all the time when I'm demonstrating or I'm practicing, and so much a part of my life. And having the patience to heal was really, really hard.
Mm.
It was a true lesson in patience. It was like, eh, and you realize how challenging it is, especially if you're, which I think in general, a lot of us, I mean, many of us are, I think, or we pride ourselves on being self-sufficient and not having to ask for help and all those things. And having to literally, but that patience of allowing your body to heal and take time, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, and then it does get better, but when you're in the muck of it,
Yes.
it's really hard. And another great word, Al, cohesiveness.
Yes. Absolutely. It's yeah, it's so yeah, it's just I don't know. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like we're speaking to, I mean, the key about how important it is to choose the words that we speak to ourselves, because like I said, I'm the person I'm most impatient with is me with capital M-E. So, and it's just being, I mean, everybody's gonna have a day where it's not a great one, but you know, it's just remembering or being aware, I think, for me about choosing the words that I'm going to put into me, or just or acknowledge within me. Um, you know, because it's we all need words of encouragement, and who better to start with than me? That's the way I look at it anyway.
No, I think that's absolutely, oh, I love that. Me motivating everyone. I think we found another word nerd. Mary.
I do believe we have.
Welcome to the community, Al.
I love
But I love it. But I do think you're right. I think we have to choose the words we speak to ourselves with. I think that even if we're not patient with ourselves, it's like there's so many other things that the dialogue that we have with ourselves about, like being less than and not being good enough, or all those different things we say to ourselves on a given day, which are not constructive,
no.
which are very almost one-sided because we become hyper focused on one thing we did that, let's say, was wrong, or one way we didn't think we measured up, or even if it wasn't wrong, we don't feel we did it, the best we could have done, or the way we thought it should have gone. And all of a sudden, it's like we talk to ourselves in this way of, that's really negative and harsh.
Hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, so do share, everyone. I mean, uh, d- if we define other than frustration, have you felt a word for 2025? Yes, I am calling you out. If you choose to share, you don't have to, but we love to hear you. It's
Yes, thank you, my loves. So I'm putting groceries away that
ah,
they were delivered to somebody else's house. Okay, so we had to go to the other person's house, bring all the groceries over here to our house. But the good thing is that I did get a total refund for that. But still, right? Little frustrations. Right?
frustration tempered with Yahoo!
Yeah, a little frustration, with the kiddos and stuff. So, but we're breathing through it, and we are grateful. Things happen for a reason, right? And now, so got free groceries. That's how it turned out. Okay, but we still had to do some work to get our food back. But 2025 is going with the flow for me, and right now, basically, what we're doing right now, even though this is something that was unexpected. Um, we're finding ways to be grateful for little things and going with the flow of life. So flow state or flow would be my word for 2025 for now. And I'm comforting my 8-year old because she's a little bit frustrated and hungry right now. So, but yeah, flow and flow state would be my word. Love. Thank you for asking, Mary Jane. And I'll yield it there.
Oh, I love that word.
If I
Love
can
it.
find the button. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Jane.
Yeah, no, I love that. Flow. It's such a good word. And such a, it's just, it really is that word of, going with the flow of life. Yeah, I've mentioned before, the style of yoga that I practice and that I teach is called Anusara, which really literally means to step into the flow. And by stepping into the flow, that's what they consider enlightenment. It's not this idea of getting beyond sort of like the human existence, which more traditionally was what yoga was really meant. It was like, oh, I'm supposed to get beyond something to get into this state of not being phased and, getting to that place at certain points and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is so unachievable on a regular basis. Like, and coming back because I loved that place, but it wasn't something I could live in. And then realizing that, going with the flow was much more attainable, was much more something. Could I just go with the flow of life, with the flow of existence, kind of step into what was happening, embrace it and own it? And so it wasn't about denial. It was really about experiencing all that is, good, bad, ugly, everything. Fantastic, as Al said, and I have to look at your word because it was such a good word, the one you created. Spendibulous, splendid and fabulous, stepping into it all. So yeah, love that.
And I don't know why, but suddenly think I know what my word is for 2025. And it was, I guess it sparked a little bit by the conversation about how we really need to honor ourselves, how we really need to listen to the words that we're taking into our body, to listen to the words that we're putting out into the world. Because as the poem was speaking to, we don't know exactly how it's going to land, and we don't know where people are at in a specific situation or in a specific day, even a specific moment. So I feel, I don't think, I feel that my word for 2025 is honor. I think
Mm.
honor others, honor um, myself, honor what I need as well as what others need. I think honor, that seems like a seems like an interesting word to choose, but it's like that's what kept coming into my head when I was listening to what you were sharing, Jan, and just honoring all that is, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as you said, because
I
it's
love that,
lessons to
Mary
learn, right?
Jane. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's such a great word. And that is why we're here to have these conversations. And, as you were talking, I was reminded of, the four gates of speech, which I don't know if anybody's ever heard of the four gates of speech. You can do a little emoji if that, if you have. Um, but to ask yourself before speaking, and it could be in speaking to yourself. So when I say speaking, doesn't matter whether you're speaking to yourself or someone else. True. Is what I'm about to say true and accurate? Is it necessary? Is what I have to say necessary? Or am I just filling up space, basically? Is it beneficial? Is what I'm about to say beneficial to the listener or to myself? And the last one, here you are, Mary Jane, is what I am saying kind?
Mm. Yes. And yes, I have actually heard of it before. I guess I just didn't, I don't know, when you were saying, I was like, have I heard this before? But it's like when you started saying them, I was like, oh yes, I know it is. I like how Al was, I didn't know that there was a smartphone brand called Honor. I've never heard that before, but I'm just have to say, because of course I wrote it down this way. Jen will laugh because I'm a word nerd too that way. Because I am Canadian, I have an extra U in the word honor. So it's HONOUR. And I kind of like that because it's like you, it's like a reminder. You, remind,
Right.
honor you. So it's like, I will take my Canadian spelling, or I guess it's British spelling too, but honor you. I like this. Okay.
And I love it.
My words are kind and truthful, and sometimes it cuts in truth, but intentions are always real. Oh, well, we know that you have a big heart, Divine. That is for sure. It definitely radiates for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that, intentions are so powerful. It's like the intention behind the words, the energy that, is behind the words. And, we all know what it feels like or what it feels like for us when we say something and we don't say it with the right intention and how uncomfortable or how like almost ill it makes us feel. And I think the next step beyond that, yeah, I'm very tone sensitive, Divine. People's tones really um, can really distract me or kind of cause me to it's like my armor goes up. And some of that is cultural. I have a really close friend who comes from um, Eastern Europe, and she has this very kind of, I want to say almost sharp, very kind of abrupt way of saying things. And every now and then when she talks to me like that, I have to say to her, like, change your tone. Like, just because I know it's a sensitivity on my behalf, but I really really does cause me to like hunch my shoulders and kind of like tense up when people use tones like that. And I think, that's really clear, with certain, ways of speaking or phrasing, which, depending on where we grow up. And also, I wasn't raised in a home where people raise their voices. Like my parents were never like that. So that
Oh,
whole,
Jan, I am so the opposite of that. I'm sorry.
what, share, please. What are you saying? Yeah, please share.
Oh my goodness. My father never raised his voice. He was very stern with his words and, he was very disciplinary without raising his voice. But the women in my family, I think it does come from certain cultures too. The women in my family are Hispanic, Puerto Rican. So, a lot of them are very loud by nature, can be very dramatic in expression. And sometimes I can too, and when we have a point to say or when we're speaking our truth, or sometimes we get emotional, things may come out a little bit different in our tones, and sometimes we can be loud or, but I always say, still try to be kind. We can speak our truth, but sometimes even speaking our truth, it's not always going to be a kind thing. And sometimes whenever you're speaking your truth or whenever you're asking for a request, you could talk sweet in a nice tone all the time, but sometimes you're not heard, right?
Hmm.
So this can be viewed in so many different ways. But when you were explaining that, I was like, oh my goodness, let me be gentle and loving and kind and soft with Jan. But boy, does she know the other side of me. It's just like, come on now, let's go.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
love
but
you, but thank you for sharing that.
no, I love it. And, I think some of it is, and I'm not saying like there's a way like, Mary Jane and I will get on. We were on this morning, we were laughing, and there is that kind of jubilant kind of expression and excitement that I think comes in. And sometimes, it is the circumstance, but there are times when I can just, I think I don't like to get orders. Like that whole idea of ordering me to do something, kind of just like, I don't like to be, that whole like kind of shield of like, don't tell me what to do comes in. So I think that that's part of it, that abruptness. And then also I was raised by, in a culture where manners were really important. Like you did not ask for something without saying please or thank you. And that still doesn't resonate with me, and I correct my like nieces and nephews all the time if they don't say please and thank you. It was very much a part of growing up. Like we please, thank you, was a big deal. And so I think that there is something about respect in that way. And I was just, it makes me laugh, but I was just talking to Mary Jane about two close friends of mine, Karen and Fred. And when their kids were little, they're very kind of proper, I guess would be a good word. And their kids always had to call me Miss Jan. When I would come into their house, did you say hello to Miss Jan? And it was just so endearing. Like, I guess it was just so sweet. And they're so cute. And so one day I'm walking Tonka around the corner from my house, and there's this lovely couple that lives across the street from me, and they have 3 kids. And I walk by, and their kids are outside, and the woman Roz says to her kids, "Did you say hello to Miss Chan?" And I just let out. I called my friends. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it brought me back like 20 years, And I guess also because it wasn't, so it was so sweet. But there is something about respect and respect of elders and respect and conversation, I think, which is so beautiful. Like I had a specific way that I spoke to my grandmother. Like we were really, really close. And I did have a specific way of conversing with her and a certain honoring and a respect for her. And I think that some of that is lost, like having been a teacher in a university setting, like I taught as an adjunct professor for a few years. There was something about honor and respect which just had been lost, like, which I thought was a real shame. Like there was this no honoring of people who were older than you. And there's your word,
Wow.
honor.
Yes.
Wow, you guys are sharing so much. I know that Zoom is a little bit different, so I'll try to jump the mic whenever I feel led to, but I don't. But we raise our hand in here. But when you were speaking, Jan, like I was saying, my father was more militant, and so a lot of times when we say yes sir, yes ma'am, like we had to say yes sir all the time. It had to be total
Wow.
respect, yes sir and yes ma'am. If you didn't say that, it was like, what you say? So it was kind of like a backlash, but it reminded me of slavery times of being militant and do as I say and do as you're told. And, so I grew up kind of rebellious after that. And now I have it to where my children, we can honor and respect each other. And of course, sometimes I still say yes, ma'am. Right. But I don't require them. I don't make it a requirement for them to say yes, ma'am to me, but we still say yes. We still say no, thank you. We still say thank you, right? Because we show appreciation as well as I think appreciation and respect. Those two words kind of coordinate together. But yeah, I'm not like militant here. Like you have to say yes, ma'am, to me. Right? You have to say yes, ma'am, and no, sir, and no, ma'am, and you know what I mean? Because I see how that was very, very, I don't even know, the stern or rigid or, just very over empowering the way that my father had used that. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you didn't do it, you better be prepared to face the consequences. You know what I'm saying? But yes, I understand. It's so funny how we were all culturally, oh my goodness, can't get my word. Okay, I can't do these words, okay?
It's okay.
We were
Words.
all, yeah, we all perceive things, in so a million and one ways. Perception can be perceived in infinite ways.
Mhm.
and by our upbringing too. Um, so yeah, but I look at respect and appreciation as a big thing, and I think words are very powerful in how we use them. But it doesn't have to be in a certain way where you're commanding it in the way where you are also, you know, rotting somebody else if they're not doing it. Like I want to really, really put you out there. Like,
When you were
all right,
speaking,
I'll shut up.
no, no, when you were speaking divine and you were talking about your father, it sounded to me like what I was hearing was that it was very dominating. Like he was trying to, like, there was something about dominating, like something who, like overseeing. It was somebody like, a power thing. And for us, I don't, and I think that's different than respect and honor. Like, where you're not trying, you're just trying to acknowledge somebody else or acknowledge what you have. And that there's a difference as opposed to trying to dominate over someone.
Hmm.
And so that's just the energy that when you were describing it, that's what I felt. And so that's to me, as we're nuancing, there's, like we always say, there are nuances in language
Hmm.
and languaging things. And so how do you flow? How do you navigate that? And um and I think that that's really what you described was such a great example. It's like, you know, we can teach people honor and respect, and we don't have to dominate over them. We don't have to make them feel like they're less than to get our point across.
Right. It's this way or the highway. It's this way or you don't respect me at all. And sometimes I still have to really be aware of that, and especially with my children, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like I have to watch how I'm also guiding them and raising them now because of that upbringing. But I still have a lot of respect and love for my father. He transitioned 4 years ago. And I understand why he was the way he was. He grew up in a time where it was very militant and slavery time. And, you know what I'm saying? So I get why he was the way he was. But it did teach me a lot of respect, though, at the end, right? That was the bigger picture of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. And I think that when we can understand, like when we start to understand why, and this is a total different topic, when we start to understand, a little bit more about our families and why, you know, some of the behaviors that happened at home or whatever, and what, where it came from, there's great insight and great wisdom and great compassion. It, this whole idea of wisdom to me, which is another good word, wisdom.
Hmm.
Um,
It's
is Go ahead, Mary Jane,
no,
please.
I was just going to say it's just interesting, right? Because as I know, Jan, you and I have spoken it about before, and it's just like with the nuances of words. I mean, let's face it, in a world, and it doesn't have to be just the world, it can be our own little space. There's so many ways where we're hearing so many words that, blame and criticism and fear and manipulation and rumors and gossip. It's like now's the time. This is what I feel in 2025. Now's the time to reclaim the true power of words, but speak them in ways that are transformative and positive and spread kindness and empathy and compassion in the world. Because, you know, it is a conscious decision, the words that we choose. Sometimes, in the heat of the moment, we're not all perfect, of course, because, we're human beings. So sometimes the things come out, but it's just being aware of the things that we're putting out into the world and listening to the intention behind the words that we're putting out into the world and realizing what kind of power those things can have on other people and situations that are around us. So,
Our words vibrate very much, guys, right? We are
yes,
electric magnetic beings,
yes.
and words vibrate, you know? So, with that being said, I just really want us to understand the power in tone of our words. And sometimes I have to be a little bit more stern with my children at times to get them moving, right? But it doesn't mean I don't love them any less, or I'm not being kind. Sometimes we have to be a little stern too, you
Yes,
know. So
absolutely.
yeah.
That's absolutely true. You can be kind and firm at the same time, because ultimately, if the words that you're generally using, um, you know, foster that bridge, and know that they know that you have their back no matter what, that's that's where that's coming from. So yes, sometimes we all need, sometimes I need to give myself a stern talking to. Come on now, get up,
I
move.
got you. I got you. I think I told Jan, quite a few people this too, is an accountability partner, right? We can have an accountability partner, you know,
Mhm.
but you know somebody's intention. You can feel their energy towards you,
That's
even though, you know what I'm saying? Like we got to go deeper because sometimes words, people will say things and then their action don't back it up either. You know what I mean? So, whew, this conversation can go so many ways, but I would love to hear from the other people who want to speak to as well. Thank you.
No, I love that. And yes, actions, I think, as we say, actions, sometimes actions speak louder than words. And I think that that's where, like with your children or with people around us, people learn by example. So if you say something and you don't carry it through, or if you say something and that's not who you are, there's no, you've lost that aspect of trust. And so I think one of the gifts that, one of the biggest gifts is to actually be told, like, oh, you practice what you preach, that expression. Um, you really live what you believe and what you tell people. It's one thing, as we talk about, being kind. It's one thing about being like talking about being kind, and it's another thing about doing kindness, being kind. And I think that that's what people pick up on. So I think then maybe all the things that we're talking about with words kind of get put to the side because people, you're willing to give somebody a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of space to be human because their actions speak louder than their words do.
I love that perspective, Jan. It's just it's lovely. So it's just hopefully you gained a little bit of inspiration today. I know I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I found my word for 2025, thanks to the beautiful energies in this space.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to, I mean, there are two great books now. I just got his second book, but the first one is, I don't remember I can tell you what year it came out. Um, do I see it? Paperback. I'm looking. Oh, well, I thought it was before 2021, but called Constellations, The Solace, Nourishment, and Underlying Meaning of Everyday Words by David White. And he just came out with Constellations 2. And in it, he talks about words that are everyday words and all their different meanings and deeper meanings of these words. So really, I just got the second one. It just came out, I think, like a month ago. But the first one was amazing. And he sort of talks about some words which are really kind of interesting words. In this one, he talks about words that are like a little bit more, I want to say, trending, like he talks about burnout and that word. But he also talks about death and, the word itself, death, and what it means and historical meanings. So it's really, I think, a good read. They're more like essays about different words. So if you're a word nerd or if you're interested, we can pop that into the chat. So should we move into our meditation?
I think that's a good plan, unless anybody has any last words that they would like to share about our topic today.
I
Feel
just had to giggle because you said last words.
free.
I was like, sorry.
It's okay. I didn't even think about that, but this year. Okay, any last thoughts?
Thank you, Divine. Just sorry. I cracked myself up. What can I tell you?
It's good. Laughter's the best medicine. It really is.
So we'll go into our meditation then. So find a comfortable position. Could be
Yeah,
seated. Yes.
I have a last word.
Oh, sure, hon.
Thank you, both of you, and everybody here. Thank you. That's my last word. Gratitude.
Oh, thank you, Divine. Okay. Find a comfortable seated position. Either you could be seated, you can be laying down. Rest your hands gently. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And take a moment to settle into stillness. Allow your breath to flow naturally. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. Feel the ground beneath you, supporting you. Let your awareness of your breath and your body anchor you into this moment, where the power of words begins, not in speaking, but in silence. Bring your attention to your breath. With each inhale, imagine you are drawing in clarity and purpose. With each exhale, release any tension or heaviness, creating space within you. Find your heart center, the space in the center of your chest. And as it gently expands with each breath, just feel that. This is where the energy of your words originates. A place of truth, compassion, and connection. Imagine a word that holds deep meaning for you. It could be your word for this year. It could be another word like peace or love or strength. And see this word forming in your mind, its letters glowing with light. Feel the vibration of this word as though it were being softly spoken in your heart. Notice how this word makes you feel. Is it calming, uplifting, empowering? And allow this energy to fill your body. Now reflect on a time when your words created connection or understanding. Visualize this exchange, what was said, how it was received, and the impact it had. And breathe in gratitude for the power of words to build bridges and to foster harmony. Now shift your focus to words spoken in haste or fear. These might be words you've said or words you've received that cause the harm. See these words as shadows floating in the space around you. And with each exhale, imagine these shadows dissolving, replaced by golden light. Affirm quietly to yourself, I release the energy of harmful words, spoken or heard. I reclaim my voice as a tool for healing and growth. Now repeat silently or loud the following affirmations, aligning with the transformative power of language. My words carry intention and truth. I choose language that uplifts and connects. I speak from my heart, creating ripples of harmony. Feel the resonance of these affirmations as though they are being absorbed into every cell of your body. Begin to deepen your breath, drawing in the energy of your intentions. Feel free to wiggle fingers, toes. Bring awareness back to your physical body. And when you feel ready, open your eyes. Take a moment to reflect on the power you hold in your words, knowing you have the ability to shape your reality with intention, compassion, and care. And carry this thought or affirmation with you. Every word I speak is an instrument of creation. May my language reflect the love, strength, and clarity within me. Please connect with Mary Jane and I, and everyone else if you're not in the event today. Mary Jane and I have a LinkedIn Facebook group called Spirit Born Imaginings, which is just a community that we have that's on LinkedIn and, like I said, and Facebook, where we just share inspiration. We may, we have guidance, announcements. Each weekend, we create space for you all to sort of drop in your inspirations if you've had them, anything you'd like to share. Next week, we'll be back again on Zoom, so we hope you'll join us. If you can't wait till then, we have a online self-care retreat tomorrow with a close friend and collaborator, Henry Cameron Allen, which is tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be very exciting. And so that's great. And then Mary Jane and I have our workshops that we've planned for 2025, 8 workshops, online workshops, mostly online, hopefully a few in person. You can take advantage of all or hybrid, exactly. You can take advantage of all 8. You can decide on 4 of the 8 that you'd like to take and make a little package of 4. We will still be offering our workshops individually, but the packages offer a great savings. So that's definitely something you should think about. What else? We will be online for our next workshop for Spirit Born, which is, I think, on February 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For February, it's All You Need Is Love.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're so thankful for all of you joining us. And yeah, if we're I think all of us are, but if we're not connected on LinkedIn, or please feel free to connect. And we're just so grateful to have you all here to start out the new year with fresh intentions, with fresh platform. And oh, Ella's asking Spirit-born imaginings. Hold, let me put it into the chat.
yeah, and I was just grabbing the LinkedIn link
Okay,
actually.
that's a good idea.
So here's the
Good
link.
thinking, Jen.
Yeah, here's the LinkedIn link, and I'll go see if I can grab the Facebook link. So that way you'll have it too.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's lovely. And yeah, so weekends, yes, we do have the opportunity where you can share memes, inspiration, anything that you feel what might inspire the group. And on Wednesdays, well, with the exception of this past Wednesday because it was New Year's, so we celebrated New Year's, but we usually have Success Story Wednesday, and we encourage members of the group to share wins, opportunities, things that are happening, big and small, so that we can celebrate you because that's what community is all about, acknowledging and celebrating um,
yeah,
our
and
members.
if you'd like to participate in that, like hop on a Zoom with us and we can have a conversation and then share that recording in those groups of what you do, like Mary Jane and things that you're doing. We would love to allow you that opportunity. So just reach out to us to schedule a time to do that, and we'll set up a
Absolutely.
time to have that conversation with you.
Absolutely. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today, and we look forward to meeting again next week.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all. We appreciate the mighty ones.
Good luck. Take care.
Thank
Take
you.
care, Matthew.
Fabulous, splendibulous.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Thank you, Al.
Al.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Okay,
weekend.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool
Bye-bye.
dude, Al. Al, so cool, guys. I love you, ladies.
Love
Thank
you
you.
Love you,
too.
ladies.
Love you too.
And I'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Have a great day, Divine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.